And my official screen time is... Oh shit! Hi besties, welcome. I hope you're doing well. Today, I am once again thieving an idea for a video that I've seen all over BookTube in the past couple of years, and I'm gonna look at how much time I spend on my screen on average, and for a week, I'm gonna replace that time with reading. I'm excited and terrified, if I'm being honest. Before I give you the lowdown of the who, what, when, where, and why of this video, I want to thank this week's sponsor, Book of the Month. Book of the Month is a super popular and rapidly growing online service for readers. They work hard to promote new and emerging authors and help readers like you and like me discover books that we will love. Every month, the incomparable Book of the Month team vets hundreds of books so that they can give their members a curated selection of the best new and early release titles. Sally, what if there's a month where none of the books appeal to me? You can skip any month, no questions asked, and you will not be charged, so it's completely risk-free. Plus, they have the best price for a new release hardcover fiction you'll find anywhere. You can get your first book for just $9.99 today with the code GETFUN. There were 3 books in particular this month that really caught my eye. First up, Kaiki by Vaishnavi Patel. Next, The Good Left Undone by Adriana Trigiani. And finally, my pick for the month of April is True Biz by Sarah Novick. At a residential school for the deaf, we follow 3 main characters, 2 students, Charlie and Austin, and our headmistress, February. When a crisis threatens to ruin their lives, they find themselves tied to each other forever. This book is a journey into the deaf community and a story about human connection. And I'm reading True Biz in this video, so I'm so excited to tell you how it goes. I honestly don't know how you're going to choose between all the amazing options this month, but you can head to bookofthemonth.com or click the link at the top of the description to get your first book for only $9.99 with the code GETFUN. Thank you, Book of the Month, for sponsoring today's video. Now, you may be wondering what possessed me to make a video like this. My little demons, my little inner demons possessed me because I spend so much time on my phone. It never makes me feel good. And lately I've been noticing a big uptick in my just general anxiety. I think it might have a lot to do with the fact that I've been doom scrolling a lot more than usual. I am constantly caught in this tug of war between thinking that the internet is this amazing thing that has provided me with community and love and friends, and the other half of it, which is it sucks for my mental health. I'm always working towards being more present and being more intentional about the way that I spend my time. Like, I just know that when I am on my deathbed, I'm not gonna think, I wish I had watched one more TikTok video. But I am constantly gripped with fear of the idea that I will not read all the books that I want to read in my lifetime. So we're gonna flip the script a little bit this week. So I'm going to average out the last few weeks of my screen time and see right now. I'm scared. And my official screen time is... Oh shit! No way I spend 6 hours on my phone every day. 6 hours? I'm gonna have to read for 6 hours a day? I'm having a crisis. It seems that over the last 4 weeks, we have a bit of a range of screen time, ranging from a little over 4 hours to a little over 6 hours. So I'm gonna average that out and shoot for right in the middle and shoot for 5 hours a day of reading. That is so much time. If I started reading at noon, I wouldn't be done until 5 p.m. That's the whole day. This also means I need to do this video because that's an absurd amount of time to spend on my phone. And that's just my phone. Like, that's not including my laptop. I'll tell you what books I'm gonna read this week. First priority is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. Everyone is telling me that I need to read this because my whole brand is loving Shakespeare and good prose, and I've heard that this has both. From what I've heard from other people, this is about William Shakespeare's family as they stay and live in Stratford, and he goes to London and writes plays. His son was named Hamnet, so I assume he's the main character because he's the titular character. It has been at the top of my TBR for months. I'm so stoked. Next, I'm going to read Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I am not a fan of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. But I read the synopsis for Malibu Rising and it sounded so good. This book is set in the 80s and it follows 4 main characters who are all siblings, and they're the children of a famous man, and it like all takes place at this party that they host every year in Malibu, and you kind of go throughout the night of the party. Next on my list, I have They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us by Hanif Abdurraqib. He's one of my favorite poets and writers, and I'm so stoked to read this. This is a collection of essays through the lens of cultural analysis, so like music critique, sports, current events, that kind of thing. And he weaves that in with his personal life to write essays that kind of critique the culture and also just the human condition. I feel like I'm gonna really, really love this one. So next on my list is actually one of the book of the month picks for the month. This is True Biz by Sarah Novick, and I've already told you the synopsis in the ad portion. But I'm really excited to dive into a story about the deaf community. I'm really stoked about this one. Those are all the books that I'm planning on reading as I swap my screen time this week. Okay, time to go be a real human instead of a robot. I'm not gonna lie, I have failed day one. I read for like 3 hours and 40 minutes today. Honestly, the Harry Styles song drop had me reeling longer than I care to admit. So when I finally sat down to read Hamnet again, I read for like 40 minutes and I can't keep my eyes open. And I'm loving Hamnet so much that I want to give it proper attention. I'm sorry that I failed you. You have to understand. It was stupid of me to start this challenge on a Harry Styles release day anyway, so lesson learned, but I'll get back at it tomorrow. I just finished Hamnet. Fuck. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I broke 5 hours of reading today. It's just hard to fit in everything I have to do in my normal day and then also fit in 5 hours of reading. It's so much. I'm loving Malibu Rising so far, and I'm shocked because I hated Evelyn Hugo so much. Finished Malibu Rising, and I don't think I quite hit 5 hours today. I really liked it. I thought it was really good, and I did not want to put it down. It makes me want to move to Malibu. I am appreciating that I'm spending more time reading instead of on my screen, but it is an absurd amount of time to just read every day, so. Y'all will not believe the fucking day that I have had. Okay, I went to the doctor's office for my like annual thing, whatever. They were like, you have to go get blood. And I was like, okay. I passed out and they were like popping smelling salts in my nose. And there were like 4 nurses around me like, stay with me, stay with me. Am I dying? I felt like I was on an ER like drama show, like a hospital drama. They were like, we have to wait for some color to come back in you. And I was like, I don't really have a ton of that to begin with. Let's be real. And they were like, okay, but still you look like a ghost. And I was like, I hate to break it to you, I always look like a ghost. And it was so scary, but I'm fine now. When I was like feeling better, they were like, also we didn't get enough blood, so we have to go back in. Say psych right now. Hey bestie, say psych right now. Pretty crazy. I'm gonna start They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us by Hanif Abdurraqib. I'm so excited. I think he's brilliant and I'm sure I'm gonna love this. Okay, I've read 2 of the essays in this and the foreword by Eve Ewing, and no one writes like Hanif. I'm literally already coming up with a list of people in my life I want to buy this for. Flannery, you're getting a copy. It's 10:30. I've read for about 3 hours today. I don't know if I'm gonna read for another whole 2 hours. 12:30 is past my bedtime. We'll see. I am loving Hanif's book and it's hard to put down.
Reading They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us, and I just read brief notes on staying. No one is making their best work when they want to die. It's so good. I freaking forgot to log my time earlier. So it says I read for like 4.5 hours today, but really I read for like at least 6, if not more. But I finished Hanif's book, They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us. One of the best things I've ever read. And then I also started True Biz. I can't wait to dive back in tomorrow. Just found out that federal student loan repayments have once again been put on pause until August. Cancel them. Going to bed. It's been raining for what feels like 3 days straight. It's really a day and a half, but it feels like so long. I have to get out of the house because I feel trapped. So I'm gonna head to a coffee shop and read some of True Biz. I had to give my dog a chew toy while I filmed this section, so if you hear her, no you don't. This challenge was a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. 5 hours a day is a lot. I did really enjoy it. It's definitely not something that is sustainable for me, but I did appreciate how much reading I got done and the fact that every single book I read for this video was a banger. Let's dive into what I thought about the books. First up, I read Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. Show-stopping, unbelievable, never been done before, constantly raising the bar and doing it flawlessly is all I have to say about this book. It was so good. It was very different than I thought it was going to be based on what I heard other people talking about. I assumed that Hamnet was the main character because it's called Hamnet, but I would argue that Agnes, or Anne Hathaway, Shakespeare's wife, was the main character in the novel, and it's about her journey into motherhood, into being a wife and a woman, an apothecary, all of these different things. It's really about her journey. Also, I feel like when people have talked about this on BookTube, they've largely talked about Shakespeare's presence in the novel as either non-existent or that he was just completely an absent father. And that is not the picture that it paints of him at all. I thought it was a very generous and empathetic look at what he might have been experiencing as he was going to London and writing plays and getting famous. So while it is about them dealing with his absence when he is off in London, it's also about him falling in love with Agnes when they're young and having to love his children from afar and how he grapples with grief when he wasn't there to experience the lead up to a devastating loss. The prose and storytelling was so amazing. The ability that Maggie O'Farrell has to set a scene, to convey emotions and tensions within a room just through words is really unparalleled. There were so many beautiful lines in this book. It was a fascinating look into how people lived their lives during the plague era. Overall, I thought it was wonderful. I did not want to put it down. I felt like I really lived inside of this book while I read it. At the end of it, I was crying so hard I couldn't breathe. I can't recommend it enough. I think it's wonderful. Next, I read Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. and I loved it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm the captain of the ship that is SS anti-Evelyn Hugo. I know that is such a hot take because everyone loves Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I don't want to be a Taylor Jenkins Reid hater. I want to like her. I want to understand what the hype is about, and I finally do. This book was so good. I had such a blast reading it. I was sucked in. I kept turning those pages. I could not put it down. I have not stayed up super late to finish a book in a while, but I think I stayed up till 2 a.m. to finish this book. I thought the characterization in this book was so great. I loved all 4 of the siblings so much, specifically Hud. I would die for Hud, Reva. They were all so well done and fleshed out that even though we had to split perspectives between lots of different characters and people, the 4 at the center of the story, the 4 Reva siblings, felt so fully formed and interesting, and I just loved spending time with each of them. Plus, the setting was fantastic. The way Taylor Jenkins Reid immediately drops you in Malibu and you feel like you know exactly where you are, even if you've never been to Malibu, was done so well. I was like, I need to go to the beach stat. And it made me want to learn how to surf. I will never do that. I can't stand on solid ground and stay balanced, but for a brief moment in time, I thought, what if I was a surfer? Overall, so good. Such effective storytelling. The plot kept me on my toes, kept me interested. I did expect something different from the ending, and I was mildly disappointed that it didn't go the way I thought it was gonna go, but not enough to detract from how much I liked the book at all. I half read this physically and half listened to the audiobook, and the narrator was fantastic. The audiobook performance was so great, really added to the characterization for me. Yeah, I'm super glad I gave Taylor Jenkins Reid another shot, and I feel like it's a perfect summer read, so I would say add it to your summer TBR for sure. Next, I read They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us by Hanif Abdurraqib. This is genuinely one of the best books I've ever read. It was so interesting, and it made me think about music, culture, sports very differently than I, especially as a white person, have ever thought about them before. This is an essay collection, but when reading it, you can't avoid the fact that Hanif is a poet. His words are so beautiful and lyrical. You just get lost in them. There's one essay that I basically highlighted the entire thing. It's called Brief Notes on Staying. No one is making their best work when they want to die. And it's sort of combating the glorification of pain in terms of making art. This is a quote, but the way I think about grief is that it is the great tug of war, and sometimes the flag is on the side you don't want it to be on, and sometimes the game has exhausted all of its joy, and all that's left is you on your knees. But today, even though I am sad, my hands are still on the rope. I am making my best work when my hands are on the rope, even if I'm not pulling back. Life is too long, despite the cliche. Too long and sometimes too painful. But I imagine I have made it too far. I imagine somewhere around some corner, the best part is still coming. I truly think that Hanif's voice is one of the most unique, interesting, and compelling voices I've ever read. It's gonna be on my favorites of the year list, I can tell you that right now. Hanif is a game changer. And let your game be changed. Lastly, I read True Biz by Sarah Novick. It was great. This book is so informative and still so compelling. I learned so much about deaf culture and ASL while reading this book. It was fascinating. For example, I didn't know going into this book that Black American Sign Language is a separate set of signs and language than American Sign Language, because deaf schools were segregated when hearing schools were segregated. And so Black ASL evolved differently. This book really set out to make it clear that deaf people are not broken and that deaf culture is something that is worthy of being preserved and honored. And it did such an incredible job. Because one of the main characters, February, is teaching a class on deaf history and culture, there are also these sort of worksheets and bits that are presumed to be from her syllabus. And so you get to be a student of ASL while you read this, along with one of our main characters, Charlie, who's learning ASL for the first time. The only thing I will say is that the ending that we were sort of leading up to the entire book felt a little bit rushed, and I didn't feel like I got as much of an ending as I wanted to
but it didn't detract from my love of the book. I highly recommend this. I'm so grateful for Book of the Month too, because I had not heard about this and then Book of the Month sent it to me, and it's one of my faves I've read this month. I'm so glad I dove in. Overall, I think this video was a really fun experiment. It was fun and I really liked the books that I read, but I'm not going to keep reading for 5 hours every day. That is what I have learned, right, Athena? I've been loving talking about all these books in my Discord with my Patreon besties, so if you want to join the community, the link will be at the top of the description box. Comment down below what your screen time is so I feel less alone, and let me know if you've read any of these books so that we can gush about all of them. Like this thank you. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. As always, my socials will be linked down below. You can check those out. Thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video. And in case you haven't heard it today, we love you. Bye!